Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about menstrual cups, and I'm going to be talking about the two that I've tried, and I've been wearing menstrual cups for a total of 3 months now, so obviously only for a total of I had my period 3 days, so I was gonna say 12, 9 days, oh my gosh. Math is not my strong suit. So I originally had got the Diva cup, however, I did notice a little bit of uncomfortability, so I did try the Saalt Soft cup. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about them both and just about period cups in general. What are the pros and cons of period cups? Let's talk about that. Well, the pros are way better for the environment because you're not throwing things out as much and they're not going into the landfill. You can use them up to 10 years, so that's obviously quite a lengthy period of time. And over that time, I think you save, I think I calculated at being $500 that is being saved over a 5-year span. Not a 5-year, sorry, 10-year span. So you save a lot of money on product. You can wear them up to 12 hours. Which is amazing, and your risk of toxic shock syndrome dramatically decreases. I'm sorry, I'm struggling at talking today, which is obviously amazing. So those are the pros. Also, if you get the right cup, then your period kind of goes unnoticeable for the most part. You don't feel the product there. If you wear pads, obviously you feel them. Tampons, sometimes you don't feel, sometimes you do. And you don't have to worry about changing it all the time. So there's just a lot of pros to it. Cons, a little more inconvenient in a sense of obviously you have to take it out and clean it. With a tampon, I found if I was going out somewhere, I could just rip out my tampon, rip it out, tear it out, but take it out and put in a new one. And whereas if I was in a public place, cleaning this might be a little bit more difficult because you can't just take it out and dump the blood and stick it back in while it's bloody, because that's when you do put yourself at risk of toxic shock syndrome. The only 2 cases that I heard about of toxic shock syndrome with a period cup have been women that have worn them for a week. Which you're not supposed to do. They just never took them out, and I don't know why. And they are pricey up front. The cost of them is roughly $40. I'm just waving these around, but they're roughly $40. So that's a little bit of money. If you're grossed out by blood, these are probably not going to be for you. And it's just a little more messy. A little bit more messy. You're gonna get a little bit of blood on your fingers. It's bound to happen. Nothing to be too alarmed with, and I'm going to talk about that. I don't have any pictures or videos, so you don't have to worry about that if you don't like blood. I saw some videos of people reviewing them. They're like, look, and there's filled with blood. I'm not doing that. I mean, great for them for reducing the stigma around them, but I don't like seeing other people's blood. I don't think a lot of people like seeing other people's blood, but yeah. So the first thing I would recommend if you are thinking about it is go to putacupinit.ca or .com just to figure out what cup they recommend you, because you can definitely get the wrong cup. There's cups for every different vagina out there. So if you have a high cervix, a low cervix, a medium cervix, if you have a tilted uterus, and yeah, there's just different cups for everybody. So initially, I got the Diva cup. Essentially, I had ordered a cup, it came in, and then I had read reviews that it's not medical grade silicone and that it's not very well tested, and had a really weird smell, and they got infections. I don't know. So it had good reviews for the most part, but that kind of stuff freaked me out. So I ended up just going over quickly to the store near me that has Diva cups and just grabbed one. This is the size 1. They come in 3 sizes for the Diva cups, and actually 3 sizes now for the Saalt. So it comes in, I think, size 0, 1, and 2. So 0 is essentially if you've never had sex, you are a teenager. 1 is for if you have had sex, I guess. And then 2 is if you've had a child vaginally. Same goes for this. They have actually teen size, then size 1 and 2, I believe, and this is the size 1 of them. So what's the difference between Saalt Soft and the Diva cup? It really is just that the Saalt Soft is a little bit more squishy, whereas the Diva cup has a little bit more give to it. And a lot of people wonder, how do I know which do I need? And it's unfortunately a little bit of trial and error. Some people find For example, for me, I found that the Diva cup, when I had it in, I had a little bit more difficulty peeing. I did feel it inside of me constantly, whereas with the Saalt Soft, I don't feel it inside of me. I don't have as much difficulty peeing. I do have a little bit still, but it feels a lot more comfortable inside me, whereas the Diva cup didn't feel as comfortable. So let's just talk about my first experiences. So when I first tried the Diva cup, I found this to be so over freaking whelming. It literally, oh gosh, there's so many different methods of folding, by the way. So there's like the punch down method, which people do this. Some people call it the taco method, I guess. And then there's the C method, and what was the other one? Oh, the 7 fold, which is like this. And then I saw that a lot of people have their own folds that they make, and whatever works for you. So the first time using this, I struggled really hard. I didn't know what to do. I first went into the shower and tried to do it. Then I tried to squat down. I put my leg up on the shower. I did everything. And that's the thing. You have to kind of find what works best for you, because everybody's different. And definitely the method that works best for me is sitting on the toilet. That is the easiest thing for me. I find it goes right in very easily. But this, it took me a long time. Also, it really did hurt initially. I know this is going to make it sound all really unappealing, but it's going to get better, I promise. It hurt because I think I fiddled around with it too much trying to get it in, and I couldn't get it in. It kept on popping open as I was trying to put it in, and it was just a disaster. So I found that it just wasn't very effective for me at the beginning, because what had happened was my vagina ended up swelling. So the rest of my period was very painful trying to get this in and trying to take it out. It was really uncomfortable, and I was like, I'm never using one again. So yeah, my second time I had my period, I decided to try it again, and I trimmed off the little nub, which definitely helped with some of the discomfort, because I do have a fairly short cervix, and this is for like really long high cervixes. This is for really long ones, or high ones, sorry. So I did trim it a bit. It did help a lot with the discomfort, but it definitely was a little too firm for me. So I ended up getting the Saalt Soft, which is a bit of a shorter cup. The stem was really long, like the stem came like down to here. Some people like that because they have a high cervix. They feel like they have something more to grab onto. I personally don't, because I just feel the stem inside of me. So I trimmed the stem, and it's definitely more comfortable being this size. I don't feel it inside of me. I don't like the removal process of period cups. It feels gross to me. So essentially what you have to do is when you insert it, so I'm just going to describe the whole process. So for me, the C-fold is how I insert them. So you do the C-fold, you angle it towards your tailbone, and then you kind of just release it, and sometimes it pops open, but other times, because it's like you have pressure inside your vagina that's kind of trying to close it, it might just stay like this. So you have to put your fingers around, because if it's like this, you'll feel when you're going around it that there's like a little indent, and you have to try to kind of make it fully open. So what I do, if I feel the indent like right here, I just squeeze this, and normally it like ends up popping open. That's what works for me. But yeah, definitely doing little twisting and turning actions at the bottom, just kind of like this, sometimes can make it pop open. Some people don't like the Saalt Soft because they can never get it open. For me, it pops open fine, which is why some people do like a firmer cup, because they pop open a lot easier, which I did notice that this popped open pretty easy. But I don't have an issue with the Saalt Soft, but that's not to say that you won't. If you have a high cervix, make sure you get something for a high cervix. Otherwise, it might be very difficult to remove. Once it's popped open, it's just chilling like this inside me. I bear down. You essentially act like you're gonna poop. Pretend like you're about to poop, and then it will push down a tiny bit inside your vagina, and then you just squeeze the base, because it's gonna be sealed inside of you. Like, do not try to pull it. Do not go like this. It's going to be extremely painful. People have fainted. Don't do it. Squeeze the bottom to break the seal and it should come out. These can't get lost inside of you. A lot of people think, like, what if it just disappears? It will never disappear. There has been reports of people going to the ER to get it removed because they couldn't get it because it went too high up, but it's not a very common thing. It doesn't happen to everybody. It's not very common, so don't let that discourage you, because technically that could happen with anything. There's people that have gone to the ER to get tampons removed, so don't stress yourself out too much about it. Now, some things that I've heard is that periods end up being shorter in length. So typically my period is 3 days, but sometimes it can be up to 6 days. But so far the past 3 months, it's only been 3 days every single time I've used it. So maybe that's true. Some people say they never experience cramps with having a period cup in, whereas when they're wearing a tampon or they have a pad, they always experience cramps. I personally cannot relate. I had really bad cramps this period. I had cramps last month and the month before. Were they any worse than when I had a tampon in? No, it was pretty consistent with how my periods go. Some months are bad, some months aren't. So yeah, peeing and pooping. What you all want to know. Can you pee with one in? Yes, you can pee. I do find my pee is a little bit more strained, not to an extensive amount where I can't pee. It just feels a little bit more pressure, a little bit harder to pee. A little bit, tiny bit, but not anything crazy. And pooping, I hate pooping with one in, but it can be done. It just feels like it's gonna fall out. That's the only thing, because you're pushing, or like you shouldn't be pushing, but you know, I'm constipated all the time. So I'm pushing, and it moves down slightly, so it feels like it's like about to pop out, but it's not. And then sometimes I'll end up holding my hand there just to kind of like, I hope it doesn't come out into the toilet too. It hasn't. I don't think it ever has with anybody, so it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, you can poop with one in. You'll be fine. Sex. There has been people that said they can have sex with one in. I guess you have to have a really, really high cervix, because for me, this is literally at the entrance of my vagina. Yeah, I could not have sex with one in. I'm also single, so hit me up. Kidding. I'm sure there is no one watching this right now that has any desire to hit me up. I personally have never had sex with one in, and I know I could not. I could not do foreplay. I just couldn't do it. I guess you could do some foreplay if your partner is down for it, but nothing could go inside my vagina, essentially. That's what I'm trying to say. Talking about the realness of things, masturbating. You can masturbate with one in. I have noticed from personal experience that it does go a little bit higher up, and it's a little bit harder for me to get out. There has been reports of people saying that they bleed out completely, because I guess when their vagina is contracting during orgasm, it breaks the seal and blood just starts pouring out. I haven't experienced that, but some people have, so if that's the case, put down a towel or do it in the shower if you're gonna do that. But yeah, I thought I'd talk about that. I don't like talking about that. It makes me highly uncomfortable, at least not on my YouTube channel, just so you know. Can be done. I was really worried about having a period cup, because I was like, I hate blood. Blood grosses me out. There's absolutely no way I can do this. I'm going to throw up. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I took it out, it was a little overwhelming, because obviously the first day of your period, you do bleed quite a bit. I've never had it fill up to the top, even though I was somebody that would change my tampon like every hour, half hour to an hour in a day. So I was actually shocked with how little I bleed compared to how much I felt like I bled with tampons. But yeah, so it's never been that bad. And typically what I do, because I don't really love staring at it, I pull it out and I just immediately dump it, like, because I'm sitting on the toilet, so I just kind of tilt my hand down, it dumps, I toss it into my sink, and then I wipe myself, I go to my sink, so then I just clean it in the sink, and then I pop it back in. Another thing to mention is apparently you are supposed to leave it wet after cleaning it to insert it. It makes it easier. Some people use lube for easier insertion. Just make sure you use a water-based lube, because silicone lubes will degrade the material and can be very damaging to your cup, which can be damaging to your health. Also, when you first use this, before using it for the first time, you're supposed to boil in water, and I know that's not really practical for everybody, especially I live at home with my parents. I don't want to stick this into a pot. So personally what I do is sometimes if I want to boil these, I would just wait till somebody went to bed. But if that's not going to work for you, I've heard people say that they microwaved them in hot water. I personally wouldn't stick these in the microwave just because microwaves are just too unpredictable for me. I boiled water in my kettle that was really hot, and then I stuck this in a mug with a plate on top of it and just kind of let this sit in there for 10 minutes to kind of clean itself. And then I used the sex toy cleaner before inserting it, and that worked great for me. So I used to work at a sex shop, and soaps can break down the material. That's what we were always told, which would cause like little cracks, and then bacteria gets in it. So yeah, and I've seen hydrogen peroxide. I also would never say to use that. I've seen a lot of things I'm like, I don't understand why these are recommended methods. I personally just say buy a sex toy cleaner if you are of age, or if you have family members that feel comfortable with buying you that for cleaning the cup. Or a lot of companies sell their own cleaners, and obviously if they're selling a cleaner for their product, it's probably going to be a good cleaner. But yeah, sex toy cleaner, it's obviously very vagina safe. It's meant to be used around there. Sex toys are meant to be used around there, so they're very safe. I bought Adam and Eve's foam cleanser, which I find is really nice because it cleans inside these holes really well, which they all have holes, which creates like this suction, and that is something you have to make sure is really, 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 really clean, because if you don't clean them properly, the bacteria once again gets in there. You're gonna risk toxic shock syndrome, and I know talking about that freaks people out, but you are at higher risk when you're wearing a tampon, because little bits of cotton can come off your tampon, once again creating bacteria, once again creating infections and toxic shock syndrome and all that. So yeah, making sure everything's clean. This is probably just the cleanest thing you can put inside of you, and I know a lot of people don't look at it that way. They're like, ew, blood, gross, and it's like a tampon is way less clean than using this, and they are sprayed with chemicals and they have all these coatings on them. And that's not me trying to say to never use a tampon, and if you wear tampons you're disgusting. Like, trust me, I've worn them for quite a while. But just do your research about what tampons you're using. There are companies that sell like natural tampons that are supposed to not have any of the chemicals added, so I would recommend checking those out just to be safe rather than sorry in the long run. I'll just show you a quick little squish test because I know a lot of people want to see it. Like, I'm using the same pressure, so you can obviously see this one is quite a bit more squishy. Woo! Flying cups everywhere. Yeah, you can see this one's quite a bit more. She's a little squishy, and this one's like a little bit more difficult to squish. The Diva cup comes with like this little purple package, and it's cute, but the Saalt cup, it comes in this little guy, and I think this is so much cuter, and I love it. Not that that makes a huge difference, but yeah. I do really like my Saalt Soft Cup. I would definitely recommend them. If you have any questions, please ask me, and I will be happy to answer them. I definitely would never go back to using a tampon after using period cups. I find them absolutely amazing, and I'm shocked that I thought that, because I thought they were disgusting and I would never wear them, and now I'm just like such a believer. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I helped with some of your questions. Have a great day. Bye!